Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Woodbine Mohawk Park. Tonight, a 12-race program is coming your way. Time for the pregame show. My name is Mark McKelvey, filling in here tonight, and alongside John Rallis. And John, looking ahead to tonight's 12-race program, there's plenty to cover. We're probably not going to waste much time. We're going to dive in, but we're getting into the holiday season, full swing now, less than a week away from Christmas and Boxing Day. I know that's on your radar as well we'll know earlier in the week what the card will look like, but that's always one of my favorite days of the year.
One of the best cards of the year, obviously. Matinee card, something that always entices me. We get some good wagering opportunities as well. Every time we always get that mandatory payout, usually on that jackpot high five, but we still have a couple of cards to add to our Christmas shopping bankroll. So hopefully we can make some money over the next couple of nights. Spend that on some Christmas shopping, get people some pretty good gifts, and then hopefully we can have some success Boxing Day to pay off some of those credit cards.
Absolutely, of course. We want to get a little extra cash into our pockets, everyone's pockets, heading in to the holidays. Before we dive into race number one, your thoughts on tonight's card? Look ahead to the feature race at Fillies and Mares Open Pace. A notable scratch in that race.
Big time scratch, and I thought Absolution had the post advantage over Grit and Grace in that spot, but still a competitive group. Obviously, with Grit and Grace having to start from the outside, that does make things a little bit more difficult, but look, she's got all the speed in the world, she's got all the talent in the world, and just a great year for her, right? An O'Brien Award finalist for Grit and Grace this year, who took quite the leap from H3 to H4.
I know that you covered that last night in terms of those O'Brien Awards finalists. Once again, congratulations to everybody that has been named. Looking forward to that event coming up at the end of January. Time to dive into tonight's 12 race card, and we're going to kick things off in race number one. Of course, that starts the early pick five, guaranteed pool of $75,000. And John, the one thing I noticed tonight when the entries came out, big fields throughout. Obviously, we've got some scratches now, but every race initially to be a 10-horse field. And in this opener here, we've got some inexperienced horses, I guess you could say that, with a 6-5 morning line favorite at the moment in number 4, Choice Is Mine. Still learning this game. Came up just short last time, but certainly one you're going to have to key in on here tonight.
Yeah, just start number 4 for this son of Courtly Choice. And as you mentioned, full fields is what the wagering public definitely appreciates and loves. So a shout out to the race office for putting together a deep card. And obviously one with lots of possibilities and lots of opportunities. But look, this is a tough way to kick off the card. Choice Is Mine is probably going to be the one that a lot of people lean on. He's coming off a good effort. I think his efforts early on in his career have been strong. How reliable is he just yet? Because we still don't know him all that well. So I think there's some opportunities maybe to beat him as the current favorite. But his effort was a good one last time out.
Yeah, and we'll take a look at that replay here in just a moment, going back to his last start where, as we mentioned, learning the ropes of this game is this son of Courtly Choice for trainer Blake McIntosh, driver Jody Jameson, and opting here to go forward this time out. So let's take you back heading to the three-quarter pole as we put the arrow there on Choice Is Mine.
All right, I used a couple of times here in this mile, though, Mark, and I thought 2 starts back, that was a really solid effort, and I think that gave Jody even more confidence to be more aggressive with him. And again, a really, really nice performance here by Choice Is Mine, who ends up getting picked off by Bajan Firefly, but again, was used a few times already to this point. You could see he does clear J.R. Plant's charge, and he's moving forward. On the outside, that's going to be the 5-horse Ellington. I thought he put forth a solid effort, but nice job by Jody to fend Ellington off. But here comes Bajan Firefly, who I've been really impressed with throughout his young career. But I think efforts like this for Choice Is Mine, I think that's only going to help him as he continues to progress in his young career. And with each and every start, I think we're going to see a little bit more maturity as well.
Absolutely. Bajan Firefly on that occasion was a 26-1 upset winner, getting up there to defeat Choice Is Mine. But you mentioned gets used a few times there, so all a bit of a learning experience. We'll take a look at our picks here in this first race, and while Choice Is Mine right now with the betting open currently sitting at 7-5 is not going to be your top pick. It is that of our colleague Randy Waples. Hoping Randy's feeling a little better. We'll see him back here shortly, but Garnett's going to go a different direction as well. Let's talk about, though, your pick in this spot, Booker Sealster.
I think I'm really intrigued with this guy, and I think we've seen in the past sometimes when Terry Fritz brings horses over here to Mohawk and hands the lines over to Doug McNair, we see some pretty good things. I think we've seen some pretty good showings over the course of the last few years, so I'm hoping that Booker Sealster and Doug McNair can maybe provide a little bit of magic in the opener. It might be a tough sell without a doubt, but I think there's some intrigue there, and I'm willing to kind of bank on it, knowing that I'm going to get a pretty good price. And not only that, as you mentioned, there's inexperience here, but there's also horses that you just can't rely on just yet. So why not take a shot who's coming off a nice score? at Western Fair, and hopefully can translate some of that confidence over here to the big track.
Yeah, most of this field does have a win at least, so they do know what that's all about. But whether or not that's going to be that one time or they can start to really string them together, we'll have to wait and see. So let's look at tonight's first race, which does kick off that early pick 5, and we'll start our Saturday night program. Let's turn now to race number 2, back half of the early double. And again, we talk about some younger horses, and Bajan Fireflies, one that we just saw the replay of, getting that victory, which was 2 starts back for him. Last time out, though, just missed again. He raced really well. He is your 5-2 morning line favorite in this spot, but I'm just like you, have been very impressed by this 2-year-old son of All Bets Off, who has come to the races later in the year for Team Stacy and is making up for lost time.
Yeah, you know what? Even his qualifying efforts were strong, so he really hasn't put forth a poor effort every time he stepped foot on the racetrack. But what we noticed in start number 1, and we saw that bridle change to follow in start number 2, was he is a little bit aggressive right now, and we've still seen a little bit of aggression here early on in his career. I think Billy Davis has done a great job trying to keep this guy as quiet as possible. Hasn't really raced him all that hard, right? Scored that upset victory a couple starts back where he was taken towards the back of the pack, was able to rely on his late speed to trip out and get the job done. But last time out, he was covered up, was able to slip off the cones and work out a second over trip, and he was flying on the end of it, Mark. So again, a horse that I think obviously the connections as well as Billy know that they don't want to get this guy too revved up too early on in his career, because there seems to be some talent and a lot of speed to follow with it too.
Yeah, that's the thing. There is plenty of potential there for this guy. And last time out, again, finished second. That was on the heels of that victory back on December 6th. We take a look at the picks in race number 2. And number 2, Chef, what certainly caught my eye, though, during those changes is the multiple adjustments that trainer Corey Giles is going to make, sending this guy out for the first time under his care.
Yeah, and that was a solid effort 2 starts back, and Jody had the confidence to be a little bit more aggressive with him on December 6th. Unfortunately, got picked off by a couple of horses in that spot. You know, considering the trip, he probably should have finished up a little bit better, or maybe picked up a bigger piece, but you're going to get a new pilot here tonight. You're going to get obviously some equipment changes to follow suit, and you're going to get a new trainer here. Corey Giles is going to take over the training duties for this 4-year-old, so a lot to like still. Again, both efforts have been strong, and hopefully he can take another step forward, and I'm curious to see how those equipment changes factor in tonight.
Okay, let's look at race number 2. Let's move on now to race number 3. So we've talked a little bit about some inexperienced horses, or horses just trying to really get things rolling. Let's talk about some classy mares here in the 3rd race. A full field of 10 to go forward. 5-2 morning line choice. Speaking of horses who have had tremendous seasons, Caviar and Crackers for Team Hensley here. It's going to be an outside starting spot after back-to-back starts from the 4-hole. Let's see what this is going to be all about for Caviar and Crackers this time out. But I mean, in this spot, certainly seems like this is finally the time after getting to the winner's circle 2 back, just to really get things rolling in the right direction once again.
Yeah, and I thought she was going to finish off the job last time out, right? She was aggressively handled. She wasn't able to last on the engine. Ended up being 3rd in that contest. Look, we know that she's so good when she's chasing horses and, you know, obviously off the pace, but she's shown a little bit more experience throughout the course of her career this year, especially where she can finish off miles on the front end, and she pretty much got things her own way last time out. I was, you know, surprised to see her not last. With an outside draw to work with tonight, you have to figure that we're going to see the Caviar and Crackers coming off the pace, because there is going to be some levers to her inside in this spot, though, Mark, but merits a lot of respect without a doubt. She's hard to leave off your pick 5 tickets, but I do think that we could see a potential value player here, an upset player here, and that being a Western Wish, because tell you what, she always seems to pop up with an effort when you least expect it, a winning one at that, and I'm hoping that's going to be the case here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, 29-time winner over the course of her career, just such a classy mare is that of Western Wish. Let's go back to the replay, though, of that last start on December 12th, where Caviar and Crackers, you talked about it, looked like she'd probably just be able to finish the job here. We're going to, though, key in and take a spin back there and a closer look at Western Wish, the one that you think could have a good opportunity here tonight.
Yeah, you can see she's 4th on the inside right now for driver Jared Plon. I thought 2 starts back when she made her first pari-mutuel start since September 5th. Likely, or August 29th, I should say. I feel like she just needed a start like that, and it was tough company yet again. She had an inside draw to work with, but Jared doesn't really leave the rail, but he starts to angle her out here and tries to get her attention here, and she starts pacing forward. I like this effort. I thought this was a step in the right direction, and look, she's a really handy mare. We know that without a doubt. She's got an outside draw. If JR's got confidence enough in her to put her in play, I do think that she's going to put forth a solid effort off that. But again, always one when we dismiss her. You can look at some of her wins, some of these higher classes. She's always dismissed on the toe board, 20-1 and above. Yeah. So she's handy enough to get herself in a pretty good spot. She loves to chase down horses. I'm hoping she can sit a cozy trip in the 2-hole. and hopefully have enough to deliver as an upset winner tonight.
That was Lions' better day, reaching up what we're going to see later on in the Fillies and Mares Open as she'll make the move up in class coming off of that score. Here's a look at the selections for race number 3. Western Wish is going to be John's top pick, while Randy does go to Caviar and Crackers. Garnett's going right to the center, though, with another classy mare and one that's dropping out of the Open in Glenboro. Your thoughts on her coming back down?
Oh, without a doubt, she's going to be a contender, right? A lot going for her tonight. Drop down in class, better draw to work with. It doesn't matter where she starts. She's a pretty handy mare. My only concern, though, Mark, is 2 wins in 40-something starts this year. She's always in the right spot. She doesn't love to quite get there as often as maybe she should, given the trips that she works out. But again, I've spoken about this extensively. Bred by Travis Cullen, the sole owner of this mare as well, and she's bankrolled over $475,000 in her career. So she's done some pretty good things, and she's been a nice little homebred for Travis.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting to look at the entries and to see some of those names in that spot when we've got a full field for that Fillies and Mares Open, really showing you the depth of that group currently on the circuit. And as mentioned, Caviar and Crackers, a finalist for the O'Brien Award, so congratulations to the connections. Let's move on now to race number 4, and race number 4 is going to be the start of the pick 6, and we've got a new invader here, an import coming in, the number 1, Lamandier, who is going to be making his first start in North America. Most recently was racing at Menangle in Australia. John, I actually got to visit that track last Saturday. A very similar spot to Mohawk. It was almost a Mohawk of Australia in terms of the location of the track, the size of the track identical. It was just kind of odd how similar they were. Great experience, so shout out to the team there. Not sure they'll be up in time. Well, they might be up in time to watch the races, but I'm sure the past connections will be curious to see how this guy is going to do. And he's coming in off of just the one qualifier, but clearly Ron McDonald and company think he's ready to go.
Yeah, son of Sun Beach somewhere out of an art major mare, and I thought the qualifier was okay, in his first start in North America, and I'm curious to see what kind of effort we're going to see from him tonight in his first pari-mutuel start. But he was taking on some pretty good company there, right? Miraculous Desby, Soaring now, Seclusion, some household names here in some of those higher classes here on this circuit. So I thought a solid effort. I think this is a much obviously easier spot for him, but I thought the qualifier was okay. I thought, again, against tougher company, I thought that he was moving pretty well at the end of it, and we're going to get a chance to highlight that qualifying effort, though, Mark. And you could see him right now. He's 5th on the inside for driver Travis Henry, and he's going to angle this guy out at the head of the lane, and he starts to move forward under some reminders and some urging there from driver Travis Henry. But I got a chance to speak briefly with the trainer Ron McDonald early moments ago, and he just said he's fast. He's got a wicked brush move at the end of it. And I think we see a little bit of that here in this qualifying effort because, again, those are some pretty good pacers that were in front of him. You could see Louis angling out with this mare Seclusion. She ends up finishing ahead of Lamandier, but I thought it was a good effort by this Ron McDonald trainee. And I don't know how he's going to fare tonight in his first start per se, but I'm expecting a pretty good effort. But I believe I might have opted to leave him off there. I just wanted to take a wait-and-see approach. The qualifier to me wasn't flashy enough where I said, you know what, I'm going to go all in on him.
Right, and it's always interesting to see those first starts for these down under imports. Sometimes they show up and it's all kinds of flash right away, and then eventually, once they get a few more starts under their belt, we start to see exactly what they really are. But they have the ability. One thing I noticed last Saturday going to Menangle was very comparable, not just the facilities, but also the racing. It was a kind of a Saturday night type card like we would have here. Every race was going in 150. Every race that night was at the distance of a mile. That's what this guy was racing at back in August in Menangle and consistently pacing around 51-50. So we will see what he brings to the table, but he takes on, obviously they're all new faces to him, including the number 3 Lose World, and this is a horse that's coming in off a victory.
Yeah, you know what? I was curious to see what kind of impact adding Lasix for the first time would have on this guy last time out. Look, he was in a much better spot, dropping down in class. The trip didn't work out. It wasn't a picture-perfect trip for Lose World, but he was still able to deliver at the price of 3 to 5 last time out, and he is moving up in class off that victory mark, but we know he's taking on tougher. So passed the test for a start on Lasix in what was a winning effort, and I'm hoping he can maybe, repeat a winning try here tonight, and I think he's got the class to be competitive. But you could see James is 3rd on the inside on the rail, and I was watching this race live, Mark, and I'm thinking to myself, he's not going to get the job done. I mean, horses typically in that spot don't really have a high success rate when they don't really find a seam, but you could see James right now, he's got no room to the outside. He's just hoping the inside can maybe open up. And there's some horses with momentum, though, right? You could see Tyler Both on his charge. He's gaining. You could see Sawble Ace and Bob McClure on the far outside making up a big charge. But here comes Lose World, who slips up the inside, and he's just able to get up for a no score. But again, he never had the momentum like some of these other horses to his outside where he could just get into full gear. Nice effort there to slip up the inside and get the job done. This is going to be second start Lasix for him tonight. We saw Soplin Domino James McDonald and Gary Murner scored, convincingly last night with a charge that raced second time Lasix as well. So I'm hoping that could be the same formula for success here tonight in race number 4. And this is one that I'm opting to single in my pick 5.
Okay, well, you and Randy are going to put him on top after that rail riding score last time out. Left from post 1 and just got to hug the pylons all the way through for that victory. Meanwhile, Garnet and others are going to go to Le Mandier. Let's move on now to race number 5 as we continue on this Saturday night program. 12 races in total here tonight. So when we get to the 5th race, we've got Claiming Pacers, and continuing with that theme of big fields and competitive fields. You got a 3-1 morning line choice in HF Pan's Shadow, who has just been ultra consistent.
Yeah, it really has been ultra consistent. I thought another solid effort last time out. Do I think he should have gotten there last time out? Potentially. Do I think he should have gotten by Halmac Victor because it looked like he had a lot of momentum? Yeah, I do think so, but I think this is a horse that's going to put forth a competitive effort. But Halmac Victor, one that a lot of us liked last time out. First start for Justin Turcotte a couple of starts ago. Really, really good showing. He was absolutely loaded with pace in that effort. Came back and took support to the tune of 5-2, and he was able to deliver, but it didn't look like he was going to deliver because he angled out of the 2-hole and he wasn't able to kind of gain on early action. And then came HF Pan Shadow, and I often hear Randy say this a lot, Mark, that I think sometimes when horses get up alongside other ones, it kind of propels them to just keep going, gives them a little bit of an extra push. I think that's what we saw from HF Pan Shadow in terms of helping Halmac Victor getting the job done. So he's got post 10. That's going to be his challenge tonight, but I do think that he's a big-time repeat candidate in this spot.
I mean, you look back 3 starts ago for the 10 Halmac Victor, left from post 8, made the front 25 and 4 opening quarter.
Yep.
So depending what J.R. Plot wants to do with this guy from post position number 10, we know when he gets off the wings, he could certainly blast out of there. So there was a look at the selections for the 5th race, and we'll move on now to race number 6. And race number 6 is going to be the start of another pick 5 sequence as we continue on in this program. In the 6th race here, John, what catches your eye right away? Soaring Now, of course, we took a peek back at that qualifier of Le Mandier. That was Soaring Now back on December 5th, but has a start under his belt where he was just never in it in that open.
Yeah, this is a big drop for him, though, right? I mean, again, he had a lot going against him. It was his first start since the summertime. Obviously, a horse that was facing a tougher company and some rivals that were pretty sharp. I think Soaring Now is in a perfect spot to deliver here tonight, Mark. And just middle of the gate draw, a lot of positives to work with tonight. And he's just going to be a short price single for me in this mid pick 5.
Yeah, he's certainly going to be the standout in that 6th race. We'll take a look at the selections for race number 6. And it probably all kind of starts with this guy, right? That's just the case. And we're going to see yourself and Randy go to him. Although Garnet and Kevin are going to try Pacino Hanover for Team Cullen towards the outside of the gate. How do you assess his chances? I see you've got him in there in the 4 spot.
From a talent and speed standpoint, without a doubt, he stacks up versus this field. We know he's got the speed. It's indicative of his mark of 48 and 4, but the outside draw, I think, could be problematic for him. We don't really see him flash early gate speed as often as we'd like. I've never really seen him flash gate speed from the outside. So, look, if he wants to deliver, he's going to have to float out in a decent spot. We're going to need to see some panels set up in his favor. He's got the talent, like I said, to deliver. Just from a trip scenario standpoint, I don't see him getting that trip tonight.
All right. Well, that's a look at the 6th race. And coming up next now, race number 7 is going to be our feature event tonight. This is going to be the $40,000 Fillies and Mares Open Pace. And if you're just joining us now, the big change in this one is going to be the scratch of number 7, Absolution, who has certainly just been right there week in and week out at this open level. A winner 3 back, runner-up the last 2 times to Grit and Grace. When the draw came out, you saw Grit and Grace in the 10-hole and a deep field, and you thought maybe this could be the week to go against her.
Yeah, I thought it would be because, again, she just got there. She just got the job done. But Absolution showed a different dimension, one that we've seen in the past, but not as often, where she left out of there aggressively, secured a nice 2-hole trip behind Grit and Grace, and just missed out because the wire came a little bit too soon. I liked Absolution a lot in this spot, so that's a significant scratch. I'm just going to default to Grit and Grace. I mean, outside draw or not, she's handy enough to get herself in a pretty good spot. I have a feeling she's going to be able to. Obviously, she's going to garner a lot of respect, likely cut this mile, and She's just a mare that if she gets things her own way, good luck hauling her down. Really, I mean, there's some sharp mares in this spot, but I think she's just shown a little bit more, and I'm just going to side with her in this spot with the scratch of Absolution.
Yeah, you take out the 7 there, and as you can see, everybody has to shrink down. Yeah. Of course, that was the expectation. Absolution would be in the mix. I do want to, though, just get your quick thoughts. None of us could ever speak for Randy Waples. Let's be real. Nobody can ever speak for Randy. But what do you think he's seeing with Style for a Mile, the number 5?
You know what? He did like that effort last time out. This is a replay that he did want to submit tonight, and I thought that was a solid effort. Again, she just missed out 2 starts back. She never got clearance until later on in the stretch. She was along the inside, and I think he liked what he saw in the late stages of that mile. So, again, you're getting a sharp mare that I think is starting to get herself, going with some good efforts in for the new connections. And I think he's just hoping that maybe she would have worked out a pretty good trip. But I guess it would surprise me a little bit, but I thought that effort was good enough to say, you know what, I think she can take a bit of a step forward here back in this Fillies and Mares Preferred.
All right, that's a look at race number 7, and now we will move our focus a couple of races ahead. Let's go on now to race number 9. The 9th race tonight is going to see an opportunity for some of our very familiar faces, what I like to call the hard knockers of the circuit. And in this 10-horse field, you've got the likes, of course, on the outside of Poseidon Sealster. You look towards the inside, Miraculous Desby, who is going to come out of that open. That's going to be your morning line choice. 6 Dublin Dashers coming in off a victory, but moves up in class. Plenty to look at in this race. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, Miraculous Desby for me is the most notable, right? The morning line favorite at 3-1. I think we're going to get a price much shorter than that. I think the most notable thing is that we saw J.R. Plant book off Miraculous Desby to go to Bruno No. I think JR likely knows that maybe he's booking off a horse that's the most probable winner in this spot. I also think that speaks volumes about the way Bruno No is racing and what JR really thinks of him. Look, this is a 3-year-old, a son of All Bets Off, who has progressively gotten better, especially with this gate, right? I mean, he never used to want to leave off the car all that well, never really saw early gate speed. I think JR Plant has been a perfect match for this 3-year-old, and I think he's excited about how he can develop maybe as an aged horse, right? Because we do have some of those, big time series coming up. I believe the Canadian Sired Graduate Series. So maybe he's thinking along the lines of, I've got a horse that I think can do some good things as a 4-year-old as he gets older, especially in the provincial program here to kick off his 4-year-old campaign. So again, I think it speaks volumes about how well he's racing and what J.R. Plant thinks of this Gabby Sasso trainee. But Miraculous Desby, I mean, look, we saw that qualifying effort when we highlighted Lamandier, and that effort, in his first start back since October. I mean, that was a really good effort against tougher company, and he was out a long way.
We'll take a look at a replay here now, and let's bring things up here where, of course, we're going to take a look at a few of those that'll be contesting in tonight's 9th race. Miraculous Desby is the one that's going to get the arrow there. Also, Cold Creek Queso, Captain Fear Not, one that I'm very intrigued by tonight is Captain Fear Not after 4 straight starts at the open level.
Yeah, Captain Fear Not has been a really sharp, a horse that has worked his way up to the class ladder and put forth respectable efforts in the open, right? I was curious to see how he would handle that transition. I think he's passed with flying colors without a doubt, but Miraculous Desby, you can see, looks to Rossi right up in the eye, was out first over a long way, and he's just battling a tooth and nail here all the way through the stretch. Obviously, Taurasi's able to hang on, and you could see that Brew Hanover is able to get up there for second, but Brew Hanover also worked out a much better trip than Miraculous Desby. The fact that he was still right there with 2 of the best aged pacers that we have on this circuit, despite all the air that he took, Mark, good luck beating him tonight, in my opinion.
All right, we'll take a look at the selections for the 9th race, where John thinks it all starts and ends with the number 2, Miraculous Desby, and it's going to be a clean sweep across the board there, and I'm with you with what we just saw at that open level, and gets to come down. This should be a spot to go back to the winner's circle for this guy. John's also got number 10, Poseidon Sealster, in the mix. The classy veteran, over $900,000 earned. I just keep rooting this guy on, waiting to see him get up to $1 million. And at the age of 8, trainer Don Lindsay just keeps rolling him out there. This guy loves his work, and he's going to be making his second start off the bench.
Just a $16,000 yearling purchase, and this guy's done some really good things. Has taken on some quality horses throughout the course of his career. Outside draw or not, there's no faster car off the wings than Poseidon Sealster. So for me, if Bob wants to jolt out of there from the outside, secure a pretty good spot, I think he's a value player in the exactor here tonight.
And we got to watch out, I think, for number 3 at Saturday night.
Yep, absolutely.
First start there for Dave Maneri.
A new face that Pollock Racing is going to send over to Dave Maneri. We were going to get to see a familiar face last night in cover band. Unfortunately, he was scratched. But look, at Saturday night, he's got a lot of speed and he's got some talent as well.
Yeah, and Pollock Racing having just a huge year. Owner Tom Pollock leading the way here at Woodbine in 2025. We'll move on now to race number 10, and we continue with these condition pacers, and lots of back class in terms of some of these guys when you talk about them, but we have a scratch in here, the 6, Back to the Future, so that one coming out towards the middle of the gate allows a few others there just to move in a spot. 5-2 morning line favorite is that of number 8, Bronx Drifter, who we've now got a good assessment of. Now 3 starts here locally. What do you make of him?
I think one thing we've learned early on is that this is a horse that races better when he's got a target to chase. So a few starts back when we got a chance to see his first start here at Woodbine Mohawk Park, probably should have finished off that mile. I know he did go maybe a bit of a quick half, but he faded to be 5th. The efforts where he's raced off the pace since then have been good ones. He got to win the following start. Last time out, it was out a long way, but still was able to pick up 3rd. So Again, I think we're going to see an off-the-pace approach yet again, especially with an outside draw. But I think his efforts have been good, and he's getting better and better.
Let's talk about number 5, Salzburg-Lytton, and this is going to be the third start locally here for Salzburg-Lytton, who goes now for trainer Joe Pereira, but of course that for Brady Galliers, who does the driving. And this, as mentioned, third time out. We want to take you back, take a look at that recent effort, and this is a horse that you're certainly giving a lot of consideration here tonight, and very similar to what I just said about Bronx Drifter. What have you made of this guy now in limited appearances locally?
Yeah, and hopefully Brady Galliers can pick up a birthday victory for him tonight. I know his birthday tonight. It'd be, I think he's got a live one here with the horse that he owns in this spot. Salzburg-Lytton, though, he left out of there aggressively, got away fourth in that spot from a good draw. And you could see right now he's going to commit to the inside, and eventually the inside lane does get shut off. So he's got to grab up his charge yet again. He's going to start angling him out further outside off the inside once James commits to the inside there with Lou's World. And you can see now he's got to start up his charge yet again, though, Mark. And again, he's moving forward. There's still a wall of horses in front of him. He just wasn't able to kind of get the momentum starting. You could see this is a horse, obviously, that didn't have a seam. He was moving forward at the end of it, despite having to, move over a few times and stop and start yet again. So with the scratch of Back to the Future here tonight, who I thought was going to be a bit of a factor here, especially if they mixed it up, I think Salzburg-Lytton with a couple of acclimating miles here on the big track, I think he's ready for a big effort tonight.
You're going to go 5-8-9. Well, Randy goes 5-4-8. Clean sweep. Garnet, Kevin, they're in agreement that number 5, Salzburg-Lytton, will get that first win here locally at Woodbine Mohawk Park. Let's move on now to the Saturday night finale. That's going to be race number 12. Jackpot High Five wagering will be available here. And we were mentioning about that Boxing Day card coming up next Friday here, John. And if everything just continues along with this carryover that's inching towards $200,000, we would be set for a big wagering opportunity with a mandatory payout.
A big time. Anytime it's a mandatory payout, it's a must play. And the pool is climbing up to a big enough number. And like you mentioned, hopefully it just continues to grow, and we can have another, good a golden goose from a wagering standpoint there on our matinee card, which is going to be strong from top to bottom. We're going to close it out in a big way as well.
Yeah, and we'll take a look at the details for that mandatory payout that is scheduled for Friday. Post time will be 1 p.m., so don't forget, it is our annual Boxing Day matinee here at Woodbine Mohawk Park. Make sure you come on out. Reservations are open. If you want to join us up in the dining room or just come out, stand at the rail. Hopefully Mother Nature works out all right. It's always a little dicey with those afternoon cards in the winter, but with what we've already seen, hey, we've already gotten into that freeze, and we'll certainly be ready for what comes up on Friday. So with Jackpot High Five wagering available, we now talk about this 12th race, and again, conditioned pacers. In this one, another full field, horses that we've seen race at higher levels in the past. What are you thinking here in the finale?
Well, we saw JD close out the Friday night program last night with a victory there with that Jody Cullen charge. Drawing a blank on the name. Santa Fe's Appetite. And I think we're going to see JD close out the program here with Ike Stream. That was a solid effort last time out. From an outside draw, I thought he rallied nicely to be fourth. He's got a middle of the gate draw, and I think that Ike Stream is ready for a big time effort here. Look, we know he's got the speed to compete versus this group. He's got a great post to work with tonight. He's got a couple of starts to get himself back acclimated here on the big track. I think it's all systems go for Ike Stream, and I'm expecting a pretty good effort from him tonight. Okay,
another one to keep an eye on. This spot's going to be number 4, Howmack Charmer. We do have a replay to take a look at when it comes to Howmack Charmer, as we are going to go back to December 14th. That was just a week ago, last time out for this guy, who, very similar to Bronx Drifter, was a horse that came in from the East Coast, now 4 starts under his belt, and puts forward a third-place effort here, right in the mix for Doug McNair, as you see him in the pocket spot.
Yeah, this was an effort that Randy wanted to highlight, and I think this is a horse that we've gone to, earlier on, maybe a few weeks ago, off what was a pretty good trip up the inside. I love that November 16th effort. He followed it up with an effort that I thought wasn't as strong. The last time when he got himself in a pretty good spot to Doug McNair on this guy, and you could see right now he's got no room to angle out. Doug's just sitting chilly on him. He knows at this point the race is likely decided. He's got no room up the inside. He's got no room to his outside. So at this point, you can't really do anything about it, Mark. No. So hard to gauge just how much pace he had. I would have liked to see maybe raging a little bit more, but it might have been one of those instances where, Doug had no room. He had no real estate whatsoever. So better luck next week, and hopefully he can deliver a winning performance here. But Randy really liking him in this spot, using him on top.
Puts him up top, and then everyone else, including yourself, goes to the 6 Ike Stream, though. Do want to quickly touch on the number 9 Montana Slim for trainer-driver Dave Kelly. This horse coming in from Western Canada, and that first start locally passes several in the lane. I thought a pretty good effort.
Good effort, and I thought the qualifying effort was good as well. My only concern is the outside draw tonight. We haven't seen too much early gate speed from him so far as of late, so I think he's going to need a trip, but I think he can close well to to get a big piece.
All right. Well, that runs you through most of this 12 race program. And as mentioned, going to be a lot of fun here tonight with these big fields. So some good opportunities and makes things potentially a little more difficult in those multi-legs with those big fields. Although John's going to give you a little bit of advice, at least how he's going to tackle these pick fives. We'll start first in the early pick five, John.
Yeah, I think obviously Choice is Mine. We highlighted him. I think this is a horse that we obviously think has a good shot to get the job done here tonight. I didn't want to leave off Booker Sealster. I think a horse that provides quite a bit of intrigue, and the fact that he's a double-digit price right now, I think adds to the appeal there in that spot. But race 2, 2-4-5 for me. Look, Barbadian Breeze was one that I've backed a couple of times. I've had success with him, but I thought he really should have either delivered or hung on to be second last time out. So he's one that I'm going to opt to use. But Chef with the equipment changes, a lot of intrigue there. Fire Control, look, there's speed and talent with this guy. He's just a little bit tricky to handle. And Bajan Firefly, as we mentioned, Mark, I think a horse that you have to use in your pick 5 ticket because he's just been super consistent. But race 3, you talked about the 2 mares, Glenboro as well as Caviar and Crackers. They both merit a lot of respect. But I'm going to use Western Wish in that spot. If she can deliver, that's going to knock out a lot of money in leg number 3. And I'm all in on Lose World. Look, there's a lot of intrigue again with Lamandier, deservedly so. But I'm going to trust, I'm going to hope that Lose World can deliver a repeat performance there. Second start Lasix off that effort, and hopefully he can work out a little bit of a cleaner trip because I think that he's got the class to handle the step up without a doubt. And then just 6-10 for me in race number 5. Like the way Rye raced. Post 6 I think is obviously going to be a huge benefit for him. And How Mac Victor for me, post 10 or not, I'm expecting another solid effort from him tonight.
$36 for a $1 ticket on that early pick 5. Pull up the mid pick 5 here, and as we can see, plenty of singles. And then just saying that race number 8 is where we're going to have to try and see what happens here. Do note this is a mid pick 5. In your programs, it's noted as a late pick 5. There is 3 pick 5 wagers, but just talk a bit about your approach.
Yeah, you know what? I view a few horses that you can really rely on. Miraculous Desby in leg number 4.
Yep.
I really like Salzburg Lytton in leg number 5 of that mid pick 5. And look, I mean, Soaring Now is going to be probably 1 to 5 in that spot, Mark. I mean, I'm not going to try and beat him because I do think he's in a class soft enough to deliver. I'm not going to try and add coverage in some other races and try and beat horses I just don't think can get beat. I am nervous in race 7. Grit and Grace outside draw or not, out of all the singles I have, she's probably the one I'm the most nervous about tonight.
We'll see if they really mix things up there with that big field and that mare's open, even with the scratch of Absolution. There's the late pick 5. So again, race number 8 is where that one's going to kick off.
Yeah, and you can see the same singles I'm going to use in race 9, 10. I'm going to be all in, obviously, on Ike Stream in the finale. Just used 1-9 in race number 11. I like the way Doc Sternest has raced. Kayla Henry has done a great job with this 4-year-old gelded son of American Ideal. I think JD's been a perfect fit for this guy. I think he's put him in great spots as well. I'm intrigued with Colford Top Guy, though. I think this is a horse that's raced well on the B tracks. He's returning back to the big track. I think this guy adds some intrigue. I didn't know what to do with moving on over, though, Mark. We are going to see a hopple adjustment on this guy. I just haven't loved the way he's handled the turns. He's got wicked speed in the straightaways. It's the turns that concern me a bit.
All right, there's how John is tackling our pick 5s tonight. 3 of them in total on the wagering menu. Let's take a look now at the plays of the night and get the thoughts of our various experts. Well, and let's see. Where are we going to start things off here, John? I think we're probably going to kick things off with what you're thinking. And there we have it. Your Worth a Look repeat all in and finale factor horses that we've talked a bit about. And I'm with you. I think Western Wish, this could be the night.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. Again, I'm hoping she can take advantage of her handiness, work out a pretty good trip, and deliver at what's going to be a juicy number. So there's my thoughts. We've all touched on just about every single one of them. And a couple of them are going to be short numbers, though.
We'll continue on and take a look at Randy's thoughts with his plays of the night. Choice is Mine in that opener, that 2-year-old son for Blake McIntosh. We'll see what he does. Style for a Mile. We mentioned what we were thinking there in terms of what Randy thinks she could bring to the table in that mare's open. Salzburg Linton in race number 10 is all in. And Howmack Charmer, as we took a look at that replay in race number 12, is his Beat the Fave. Here's a look at Jeslan, Garnet, and Kevin, what they are thinking with Jeslan. Thinking it could be time for Glenboro in race number 3. Lamandier, the Aussie import. That's where Garnet goes with his spot play in race number 4. And then in the finale, Ike Stream again. There's a best bet from Kevin Plaucha. So there's the plays of the night. We've dove in on pretty much all of those 12 races, and it's a big card tonight. 12 races this evening, 12 races on Monday, but we do want to note no Sunday night racing this weekend, John, as we'll take a break tomorrow and have a little bit of a quick refresher. Come back on Monday heading into that holiday week.
Yeah, and again, as we see in 2026, though, Mark, Sundays are going to be a permanent fixture, it looks like, at least all the way through March. So obviously the handle's been pretty good on Sunday night. The cards have been solid as well. So curious to see how that continues in 2026. But we also are going to see a new post time change as well, 6:15. So always nice to start a little bit earlier. Hopefully we can get some of the horse people out a little bit sooner as well. I think that always helps, especially given the hours that they work and the time that they put in. So I think every little bit definitely helps quite a bit.
All right. Well, we hope you're going to settle in and enjoy this 12 race program. John's going to be down here all evening long. I'm going to head up to the announcer's booth. First race, as you see there, we're inching in closer, so we will tee that up when we return. Enjoy the action tonight. Best of luck.